So let's get started programming the distance formula. So you can go program and then go over 2 to the right and put your mouse on new. Then you're going to press enter on create new, and then you're going to type in a name for your program. So we're going to program the distance formula first, so I'll name mine something like distance. Alright, there we go. So now you can see it says program distance at the top, and then this colon over here. The colon represents a line of code. If your line of code extends beyond one line and goes on to the second line, there won't be a colon because you're still on your first line of code. But since the screen is really small, then you can't really fit that much on one line anyway. So it'll frequently extend to 2 lines. So when you're on the main screen over here, you can press program and it'll bring you to a list of your programs. But when you press it in editing mode, you get a bunch of functions. Almost everything related to programming is in this section. So exec, you can execute another program that you have made. IO has to deal with anything the user is putting into the program or what the calculator is outputting to the screen. Control has to do with a bunch of logic operators. So now that that's started, let's program the distance formula. So the first thing we want to do is clear the user's home, which will clear any of their recent calculations that they've done normally so that they can see a clean new screen when they start your program. So let's just go program, then go one over to the right to IO, then go down until you find ClrHome. You can also just press the numbers next to that to use the shortcuts. So I'm just going to press 8. There we go, ClrHome. Yay. So now that we're done with that, press enter. Alright, now we're on our second line of code, as indicated by the second colon. So first we're going to ask the user to enter some variables, because we need them to enter stuff so that we can calculate stuff for them, instead of having them do it manually. So we're going to go program, IO, display, or 3, then second alpha, which is alloc, which means that you'll be using any of these tan colored keys. So for example, this key is always going to be H until you turn it off. So let's open up quotations, which indicates that you're going to type in something that the calculator is going to display exactly as you enter it. So it's not going to display any variables, it's going to display exactly what's in that quotes. And you'll understand what I mean by that later. So we're just going to type here, enter 2 points. And now we're going to put a colon in there, and then close off the quotes, and press alpha to disable alloc, and now enter. And now we're going to display what the user has to input. So they're going to be entering 2 coordinate points. So let's output this to the display. So program, write 3, second alloc, quotations. Now we're going to turn off alloc because I want to type in a parentheses, so that has to go off. Now open parentheses, and we'll make our variables A, B, C, and D. So A, comma, B, end, and then let's just add a few spaces here. So second alloc 0 is the space bar, and that should be enough. And then alpha to turn off alloc, open parentheses, alpha C, comma, alpha D. I pressed I. Alpha D. There we go. Close. Now we have to close our quotation marks, so let's do that. Alright, there we go. Now we're going to ask the user to input A. So we're going to go program, and then IO, and then prompt. Then, from there, we're going to prompt the user for all of them. And you can prompt for letters, meaning that when the user enters a number, when the prompt is shown up, you can store that inside the letters that are in here and use those to do calculations. So we've shown A, B, C, and D here, so that's what I'm going to use just for readability's sake. You could do any letter you want, or theta, whatever floats your boat. It probably can be used as a variable. So let's just do A, comma, B, comma, C, comma, D. Okay. Now, what the calculator is going to do on this line is it's just going to say A question mark and wait for the user to enter a number or an invalid key, but that's their fault. So now that we've asked them to enter all of these things, they probably don't want to still see the prompt that says enter 2 points because they've already done that. So let's go and clear our home again. So second, that's on control, right? Nope. It's in IO, apparently. Yep, 8 is ClrHome. 8. Okay, now the user will be presented with another nice clean screen. Okay, next we have to display the result. So how are we going to do that? So let's just use display. So we're going to go IO, display, and then second a lock, plus for quotation. Now we're going to type in distance equals, and let's close off the quotations. Now we're just going to press enter, and I'll show you why I'm doing this in a second. Now we're going to type in that formula again. So program IO disp, because we have to display the formula also. So now we're going to display radical, and then open parentheses, C minus A squared plus D minus B squared. Alright, now let's check our parentheses again. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. We need to be at 0, 0. Alright, so now all the parentheses have closing parentheses to match. And now let's see if it runs. Oh. Notice here how it says ... So why it does that because it can't actually, the calculator is not actually smart enough to wrap around to the next line. So you have to figure out where this line ends and then make another display command so that it can display under it. It's pretty awful, but that's what we have, so you have to deal with it. I'll show you how we can get around that afterwards and why it's so annoying. So now let's just do 1, 1, and 2, 1. Alright, now we have it. Distance equals 1. That is correct. And if you can't see that, hopefully now you can. So now I'm going to show you how we can get rid of that ... Okay, this is the wrong program. Alright, so what we're going to have to do is first let's try deleting this colon and see if it lets us do it, because we were pretty close before. Alright, so deleting that colon did it. So you can have, let's count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So you can have 16 characters, that's including spaces, on one row. So you have to count when you're using display, and once you get to 16, you have to go to the next line by just closing the quotations, making a new display command, and doing it that way. Painful, but we don't really have another choice. So let's try something a little bit more funky. Let's do 490 and 3 2000. Apparently that's your distance. So that's how you program the distance formula. Now we'll go on to the next one, which is the midpoint formula.